Hey, good day, everyone. I'm Rob Sparrow with the Viral Volley Podcast. And believe it or not, I've got my first repeat athlete on screen with me. You may recognize her two-time All-American in Collegiate Beach for the University of Southern California. She will be representing her native land of Latvia in the now 2021 Olympics, because we spoke in November of 2019 where you had just qualified, and we were totally excited about that. And now you're not coming from Jurmala, Latvia, you're coming from Edinburgh, Scotland. So let's go ahead and start why you are in Scotland right now.
Yes, hello. Such an honor to be a repeated guest. I'm excited. Yes, I'm right now in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and it's actually, last time I was here was exactly a year ago, right after I qualified for Tokyo. But I'm here because my two best friends, they live here and study in the university here, so I just miss them very much during the year when I can't see them. So when I have the off season, I use the chance, and I'm here to enjoy their company a little bit.
So this is a little rest and relaxation for the last few months, which we'll go into detail, but I mean, it's basically a time off for you.
Yes, exactly. This is the off season. This is when we don't have practice, and I can let myself go in the terms of that I don't need to train every single day. So I'm enjoying myself very, very much.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited that you get that opportunity to just recharge there. So, but let's go back into our questions here, because I know we had spoken in November 2019, and a lot has happened since, we started hearing for the first time in November of 2019 about coronavirus and COVID-19, and then the cancellation of literally all athletic seasons, including Collegiate Beach, as well as the FIVB events and the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which you and your partner, Anastasia Kravchenoka, had just qualified to represent Latvia. And that was the reason why I had you come onto the show. But where were you when you first found out about the pandemic and it all broke out?
Yeah, it's interesting because we left from Latvia to Los Angeles to have a training camp right before the first tournament of the season in March. And we left Latvia about 3 days before the pandemic got international news coverage. So we actually were in the very beginning in Los Angeles, and we were living in a hotel, and our coach couldn't make it to us because Trump had just closed the borders for Europe. So we were very sad for that, and very confused, and it was actually quite a horrible time in the terms that we had no idea what to do, because usually in emergency situations with flights or cancellations or something like that, we're pretty experienced. We know how to deal with a situation, but that was something completely new, and we didn't know if we should fly back home or hold out the hope and go to Mexico for the tournament or stay in LA. And we ended up buying tickets back to Latvia in the very last moment before Latvia closed its borders. So I've been in Latvia since middle of the March, and haven't left until now.
Well, the ironic thing is I actually saw you. That was the last Collegiate Beach duel. It's a tri-duel with USC, UCLA, and Pepperdine. And it was a fanless event. So you and Anastasia were watching from the parking structure above Merle Norman Stadium. And I happened to see you when I was shooting footage. I'm like, I got to say hi.
I know, I remember, and it was so nice. I'm looking back at it, I realized, oh my gosh, I was at the last game. I was there, and it's crazy, and it was obviously so nice to see you and all of my American friends, and kind of bittersweet to see how they were playing. But then when everything got canceled, it was shocking.
Well, you got to preview some of the new girls on the team. Not that you didn't know them already, but they were in the Trojan uniform. Girls like Haley Harward and Haley Hallgren and some other new faces on the squad, at least from the parking structure.
Exactly, yeah, and obviously very exciting. And right now, for this season, for this year, we're even a more new team, more new people. So I can't wait. I'm actually flying to Los Angeles on Tuesday, so that's in 2 days. So
I got a question for you about that. So let's hold off on answering that part. We've always got to get into the good stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So what has life during the pandemic been like in Latvia? You know, obviously it's different circumstances for different areas of the world, but can you give our listeners and viewers an idea of what it was like being in your homeland during this time?
Yes, so the highest number of cases that we ever got was maybe like 30 cases per day. In the recent months, it's been like one or two, even no cases at all.
Hmm.
And during the worst of it, it was a national lockdown, but we could go out for even restaurants and like public spaces only of your household, like the people you live with.
Hmm.
And we could go on walks, and it wasn't as bad as it was in Spain, where people were literally locked in their apartments.
Hmm.
And yeah, in that sense, it only was that bad for about 3 weeks, maybe a month, and then during the summer, almost everything was back in
Hmm.
normal. There was no nightlife, which was the most dangerous like occasion for coronavirus. And it's kind of funny because this was the summer where I have no tournaments, no like volleyball
Hmm.
tournaments, so I could theoretically like enjoy the normal life of going to festivals or concerts, but all of those were also canceled. So
Right.
yeah, but I still had a wonderful summer. This was actually so nice, and I'm so happy that I got to enjoy this time at home.
I bet you got to spend the most time with your family ever.
Yes, it's been when I decided to take the gap year, I had no idea that I would be spending literally a year and a half at home with my family, but of course it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, how did the pandemic affect your training, and how did you personally adapt to the impacts of COVID?
Once Latvia allowed officially for people to train, which was around end of April, we could train normally, but it actually affected us quite much because in Latvia we don't really have a team to practice together with because
Hmm.
uh, the other girls, they're very good, but they're much younger than we are, and they're on a little bit different level, and we need we need a stronger team. We need a team that's better than us. So we tried to play with guys, amateur guys who are strong and have good ball control, but who maybe are not as strong as the best of guys, of course.
Hmm.
So what we felt at the end of the summer was that we have had a lot of training on like technical stuff and everything, but we lack the game experience.
Right.
And that's where teams that are in countries with stronger national championships like Germany or Russia or even America with AVP, that's where those teams had an advantage over us, where our national championship is not that strong.
Hmm. Well, actually, it's a good segue into the next segment here. But with the restart of volleyball in Europe, you know, things started opening up again and coming out of the closures. You and Anastasia claimed your third Latvian championship at the is it the 2020 Ergo Open?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
went 5-0, and I believe that was in March, correct? Or is that in
First tournament was in July.
July? Okay, but you didn't drop a set, and your opponents didn't score more than 14 points in any given set. Um, Pretty strong performance against your fellow country people to kind of still flex your muscle, considering that everyone had been off. What was your thought? What were your thoughts in your play?
Yes, so first of all, it was so nice that there were even tournaments to participate in, so we could feel the feeling of a whistle, or not just that you serve in practice where everything goes perfectly, but of course in the game you have these stressful moments and it doesn't go as well as you hope to. But we played very good, especially in the last two tournaments, and as you said, we had a good run of with scores, and also we did everything what our coach wanted us to do on the court. And yeah, and with good playing there comes results. So we won the Latvian championship, and it's nice to add another title to our volleyball CV.
Yeah, yeah, three in a row. That's pretty solid. Great performance yet again. And at a mild age of what is it, 21, 22 at this
Yeah,
point?
22, and my partner is 23. Yeah, and we hope it's only one of the many more to come.
That's right. FIVB, you're going big time now.
Exactly.
Well, so the next bit of news that came out more recently was the King of the Court tournament, or the Queen of the Court, in Utrecht, the Netherlands. And with that event coming on the calendar, I mean, I know just because I had DM'd you, just excited to see you play. So I was anticipating this event. I can imagine was like for you and Anastasia. You probably had 100 times the excitement to be playing in an FIVB event such as that. High caliber, everything was new because of the stadium. It's going to be a festive scene. But then something happened, and I'd rather have you tell your story than have me lead you into it. But I was shocked, but I'm sure you were far more shocked than I was. So go ahead.
Yes. So for those who don't know, we were so excited and waiting for the final two tournaments of the season, the King of the Court, and right after next week, the European Championships that are happening in Latvia, and not only in Latvia, but in my hometown, which is like the courts are 10 minutes away from my house. So obviously very excited. And to go to Netherlands, to King of the Court, you have to give a coronavirus negative test so you can play. And I went and got one, and it was like, okay, check mark that, have done that, I have my tickets, everything, let's go. And then in the next day, it came back positive. And it was such a shock because the call came literally during when I was having breakfast, and they immediately asked me to give all my all the people who I have had contact with,
For contact tracing.
Yeah, which
Yep.
included my partner, which as we later realized was such an important thing, because so I would say I didn't really have any symptoms. Like my throat was a little bit sore, like last week, but like I know myself, and I've had sore throats even like a lot of times.
Right.
So
I mean, just from the change of the seasons, like the allergies.
Yeah, exactly, because it was getting cold, and we had some practice in the rain, and knowing myself, I get cold easily, so I wasn't thinking about it at all. And that's why it was very hard for me to figure out which one is which date should I tell the pandemic expert is the starting date for my coronavirus. And looking back, I should have said that it was much earlier than I said, because now they took the date as 3rd September or something, and they determined 2-week quarantine for my partner, which runs into the European Championships.
Right.
And at that moment, I thought, well, it doesn't matter because I have coronavirus. I'm probably going to be out of the system for at least a month or two, because as I hear, the virus stays in your body for a long time. So it was almost even a bigger shock when right after 2 days, I did the test again, because a lot of people said that I should do it again and not trust the first one. So I just, why not? It's not going to hurt. And I did another test, and it came back negative. And that was even more shocking, because I was thinking like, what's happening? Did I even have coronavirus? And of course, we called a lot of people and everything, and they said that it's not an unusual case, that it disappears so quickly. And in essence, I was just unlucky that I had the test exactly on that day, because if I had had it a day later, it probably would have been negative already. And then we realized, okay, so if I'm basically healthy, then I can even play in European Championships next week. But now the problem was my partner, who was placed in quarantine because of me. And there was an extensive talk. We talked with all levels of government officials that are in control of the
And
pandemic.
this is in Latvia, or this is
Latvia.
For the federation? Or
the federation is involved in Latvia. Like, everyone's mobilized to get us back on track for the tournament. And my partner, she was 3 days, her quarantine ran into 3 days into the European Championships. So we had a lot of strategies, figure out how we could, like, maybe she could go after the World Health Organization, which has only 10-day quarantine. That didn't work. We tried out so many routes. So many routes were closed for us. So during that week, it was such an emotional roller coaster. We got our hopes up, then they were completely crushed, and we thought maybe again. So it was so emotionally exhausting that at the end, when we found out that yes, we will be allowed, Anastasia, she will get to play, that it was almost like we had already played the tournament. We were so
it was
exhausted.
you're worn out.
Just
Yeah,
we're not like happy and grateful, but also like that's not how you should feel right before you enter a tournament where you have to defend your title.
yeah.
So we had
How many
that's the
days?
story of my coronavirus.
No, but how many days did before the European Championships did you get the green light or the okay to play?
3 days.
That means
And
no practice time for both of you going into the tournament.
and we weren't allowed to practice because we were allowed to play on the condition that Anastasia is placed in a special quarantine in the hotel, tournament hotel. So we got to practice only once before the tournament.
Well, you'd mentioned some of the emotions you'd gone through about the shock, but what did you go through? Any other emotions, like any kind of fear or anger in response to hearing that you'd been tested positive and ended up being a false positive, and you actually got a third test, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, and also I was at first I was just sad about missing the tournament, and I had fully accepted that we will not play. So when the ray of hope suddenly showed that we could play, it was like some like life came back into me. And then later in the weeks, it was just extreme frustration, a little bit of anger, because the government officials that we were talking with, their mentality was very like they were following the words of the law, not the spirit of the law. And of course, we don't want to put any risk to the society's health or anything. But in this case, since I most probably had a false positive, we're not sure yet. It's not certain, but I think so. Then we thought that my partner is not a real danger, and that's why it was frustrating, because the officials did not want to recognize that. But at the end, we came to an agreement, so we're very thankful for that.
Oh, it is exciting to see you play, which actually brings me to the European Championships. You know, it was the next major event to look forward to, which, as you stated earlier, was hosted in your hometown of Jurmala in Latvia. What kind of excitement did you and Anastasia have being able to play in front of not only your fellow countrymen and women, but also in front of your family and friends?
Yeah, it was the best feeling I've ever had. No, not ever, but close enough. The stadium that was built was amazing, and the weather was so good. And we had one game that was right on during the sunset, and all of the skies were red, and there were. So they couldn't sell all of the tickets because of coronavirus and distancing thing. But there were quite enough people that it was loud and everyone was screaming for us, and we played pretty good, and we won the games that we had on the central court. It's those are the moments that you live for as an athlete, and those are the moments that you remember for the rest of your life, and and those are the moments that make you addicted to sport and that make you keep going when it's hard to train, and you remember that, and it's like, and you can keep going. So very grateful.
Well, it's interesting, you know, this summer, the AVP had their fanless event, and we've been seeing fanless events. And I was watching the Brazilian circuit 2 weekends ago. In Jurmala, in the World Championships, there was actually crowds in the stands without masks. And for the most part, everyone's spread out, but it just was, being in the times that we're in, it was just so odd to see people without masks. I was like, I wish I could be there, you know? It just seems so freeing.
And it's suddenly so sad. Oh my gosh, we're so happy about seeing such a normal thing that people are together, but now in these times it's actually something weird, right? But as I said, Latvia is one of the best countries right now to be in terms of coronavirus, and we have like the day I supposedly got coronavirus, I was 1 out of 6 people, so very unfortunate that I was one of them. So it's the contact trace, like the government is doing a very good job of controlling it. That's why you know that if you are in an open public space, it's not like the virus is going to float around in the air somewhere. You know
Right.
you're pretty much safe because everyone who has it are locked away.
Yep. Well, I happen to see one of your posts on your Instagram account about that you described the sunset playing at center court. It was one of the most beautiful days that you could see. And then day two, the rage of the Baltic Sea came in, or the Gulf of Riga.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're going to blame it on, but it flooded all the courts. Was that from the rains, from the ocean, or both?
Not the ocean.
Or sea, sorry, the sea.
It's the sea, and it's a gulf of the sea. Basically, it was just a storm that a fall storm that's just coming every year, and there's such winds every year, and it was just unfortunate that it just happened during the tournament. But there was no rain. All of it was the wind. The wind was so strong that it blew the sea onto the beach, and everything it was so sad because I know how much work the organizers, I know them personally, and saw how long they were building the stadium, and then all of it is like wrecked, destroyed. Yeah. And there were videos, I don't know, you should maybe put some videos here on this podcast, but there were videos of the central court. It was literally a pool. There were waves just like swishing around in the central court around the poles, and it was so sad because we had an emergency meeting with the tournament organizers, and there were 3 possibilities what to do, and one of them was to cancel the tournament altogether.
Ooh.
And of course nobody wanted that to happen, because that would be like the ultimate 2020 thing. Like, of course that would happen in 2020 this year. But so I'm so glad and very proud. I'm really proud about our Latvian federation and organizers that they managed they moved the whole tournament to a different place.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
And meanwhile they got like so many volunteers. Like, we had kids from schools coming to help rebuild the stadium. We had like families and like just normal people walking by the beach and like coming in to help build everything back from zero. And they did it during like in the 24-hour period. And it's crazy when you put the 24-hour pictures of the stadium when it was good, when it was in the storm, and when it was back again good. Like, this is the same as before. And it's so, I'm so proud. I don't know if other country organizers would be able to do it, but of course I'm proud that the Latvians are able. Of
course. I mean, you had Mother Nature come in and tear everything up. I believe it was the Jurmala hotel. We ended up following each other because they were posting video footage of the area that was affected, and it was deep in water. The tents were torn down, and it was pretty extensive. So
a lot of damages financially as well. And with the not being able to sell the tickets, I think this tournament was actually on the minuses for the federation.
Well, I know I was watching it. I believe it was 1 or 2 in the morning. Actually, your matches were late, so that was like 7 or 8 in the morning for me here on the Pacific Coast. So, got to root my people on.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, thank you so much for watching. Like, I really appreciate it. It always feels like my American community is kind of a different world where I live in. It's a different world, Americans and everything. And then there's Europe. So it's so nice to feel the connection between the two and the support. Like, thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you're a wonderful ambassador for the sport. And I believe that so many people feel that same way. I mean, volleyballmag.com's got a few articles on you already. So
thank you.
I mean, people are really just amazed at the play that you've come out here in the States with. So they're following your career. So, you know, it's great to see such a personality who's got connection to the States, representing not only USC, but just collegiate beach volleyball around the world. So it's an exciting opportunity for everyone. And you're just a great person all around. I enjoy talking to you. So
hopefully we get to play this season.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll get to there.
That's the next question. Sorry.
We'll jump, but that's okay. But let's look at your play now, because we've been talking about what happened at the venue and at the European Championships. But, you know, in pool play, your first is modified pool play. So you're only going to play 2 matches. The first match, you played Finland, which was a 2-0 win, but then you had a scare against Russia. I actually commented to you on that because I was like, I was sweating there for a little bit. But you only lost the second set by 21-19. How relieved were you that you came out with that match? Because Russia was coming on very strong, and you and Anastasia turned it on in the third set.
Yeah. By the way, I will pat myself on the back a little bit. I'm very happy about the way we as a team and me specifically are serving this season. I feel like that's something we improved a lot. And during the third set against Russia, that's exactly why we won, because our serving was better. And yeah, I feel like this match was one of the examples of why, like, this is where you could see that we haven't had that much experience playing this summer, because it felt kind of like I was still a little bit nervous on the court when I usually wouldn't be. So that kind of showed. And at the end, I think it's just the playing experience that we lacked a little bit in the second set, but it's fine. We came back.
Right. Well, with that win, you avoided going into the elimination round of 24 and straight into the round of 16. So that gave you at least a little break to kind of get things back together, right?
Yeah, especially with the storm coming, because that was right before the storm, and then we had one day off.
You're right. Now, eventually, and I hate saying this part, but it happened. Eventually, you're knocked out of the competition in the second round by losing to Italy's Marta Menegatti and Victoria Orsi-Toth. Now, did you feel that you and Anastasia played to your ability with maximum effort against them? Because I was looking at the numbers, and it tells a story of basically they served really well. I think they outserved you 6 or 5 aces to 1. But, I mean, you both looked like you were playing pretty well against all the competitors.
Yes, definitely we did not play our best at all. And unfortunately, I have to say this was one of the matches where you lose not because you had the wrong tactics or you made the wrong decision at the important moment. This was the type of loss where you lose because everything's just going wrong for you. Mm-hmm. And my partner had trouble siding out. I had trouble helping her to get out of this situation, and it felt like I'm jumping in the block and the ball is just always going around it, or I'm serving anywhere and it always lands on their hands. And so it was the type of match where I don't know, everything was going wrong, and I feel like I didn't even know what to do on the court at that moment, and that was a very unfortunate way how to end our season. But on the other hand, because we lost so bad, we had a good team meeting. We talked everything out, both emotionally, psychologically, and it just gives more like spice. It gives you more motivation. You see you're not that good. It's not like you win everything always. So now we're definitely on a good track to train for next year.
Excellent to hear. Now that actually brings me to our next topic, your Olympic plans. Now, coming out of the European Championships, you now have this new information with your team meeting, and not the best of turnouts, but I do need to add, I remember hearing that the crowd was pretty supportive of your effort anyways, which was great to hear through the live stream. I know that it's only an ambient mic, but you could tell the people in your hometown appreciated seeing you both there.
Yes, and it's funny because the last game that we played in a different venue, which we lost, there were no spectators allowed, but people were lined up against the fence on the street and having flags, and they were shouting like, "Come on girls, like 1 point, let's go, you can do this." And that's why it was so painful that we kept losing, because all these people had come out of their way to support us and see us play. And it wasn't a good day for us. We already talked everything out. We are forgetting it and moving on. So
well, let's go to the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Now you're on a break from what we talked about earlier, but what are the plans for training and competition up until then? I know that the FIVB schedule is pretty fluid right now. There's nothing set, but has there been any discussion, chatter, gossip about any potential events or training wise for you guys?
Yeah, well, not this year. This year is done. Everything that's going to happen is probably happening next year, and I know as much as you know, and we're gonna train and plan everything as if it's gonna be a normal season. So
Mhm.
we're looking around first tournament around March probably.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, probably it's not going to happen. We'll see.
Oh, no.
And also, it's very important what's going to happen with the NCAA and like Pac-12 season and USC in general, because of course, if the season's happening, I will be at USC training and preparing for the national championships.
Gotcha. I know you had just said that, but that actually was my next question because I wanted to be clear because there's a lot of discussion about, oh, Tina Graudina is not coming back. But so let's just end that here. We'll say, so are you coming back to USC for the 2021 season? And can you give a firm answer to our viewers and listeners what your plans are for your collegiate beach career?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. No, I'm joking. I don't know why people would think I'm not coming back because USC is such an awesome university, and of course I want to finish my degree and I want to get a championship ring. I want to win. So I will definitely be coming back if the season is happening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. She's definitely coming back for the 2021 season. Don't make me look bad, Tina. I really like you a lot.
Oh, you can count on me. I will not let you down.
All right. Well, with that, what are your thoughts on the potential of the Women of Troy in 2021 with Coach Dane Blanton behind the helm? And you got so much talent loaded on that roster between both the Haleys, Sammy Slater, Kyla Doig,
Yeah,
the
you don't
Norse
have to tell
twins.
me. You don't have. I know it better than you do. We're such a good team this year, and I'm not saying just because I have to. I truly believe that, and
Yeah.
I feel like I will have to really like show my best to like get a spot like on the team where I should be, and like I love that it's going to be a really like fierce competition between ourselves to determine like the hierarchy within the team. But
Mhm.
then to have such a like strong team, it's amazing. And also I'm really happy to get back on court with the Dane as my coach because he was our coach during freshman year, so it's going to be nice to be back. And Gustavo
Mhm.
Rocha, of course, who he's like the heart of our team. So can't wait.
Brazilian heart, right?
I've missed USC a lot.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned that you're flying back to Los Angeles this Tuesday, which
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
sure is
in
great
2 days
news.
now.
Has the team started training already without you?
Everyone is training, but not together as a team. And I'm afraid that I will have to do a 2-week quarantine once I get back. So 2 more weeks at least until I get to train.
Now, will that be in a hotel or do you have campus housing secured?
I think I'm working on the details right now.
Oh,
I can let you know once I know, but I don't know yet.
well, because I had a great question. I actually had come across Haley Harwood and Julia Scholes when they won the Wapaka tournament in Wisconsin earlier in the summer. And from what I understand, I guess all of you guys are roommates.
Yes, we're living together in one apartment. I'm so excited.
Well,
I can't wait to get to know them.
oh, well, I was going to say, well, based on a coolness factor, how would you rate your roommates based on what you know?
Well, that's going to be the topic of the next podcast once I get invited here again. So it's going to be a hook that I will leave for the future.
I wanted to end on that just because, I mean, we've talked about quite a few heavy topics here, but, it's exciting to hear that you, Haley and Julia, I mean, just from like my conversation with them and hearing that you were going to be rooming with them, gosh, what a great household, some solid
I hope so.
personalities. And I just, it's a dominating household of volleyball players and just sweet ladies. So
Oh, yeah. If you say so, I'll trust your word because I don't know yet. I haven't met them really in person that much.
Julia's
So.
from the South, from North Carolina, so she's definitely going to be hospitable. And Haley's just Haley, so you're all right with her.
Thank you for the introduction. I'll go to them and say that I know already everything about them. Rob told me everything.
And I'll be sure to collect my money from the Harwood family and the Scholes family as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Well, honest, I hope that you and Anastasia are able to keep in contact and also train because I'm looking forward to this Olympics. And it's so exciting to know people who are actually competing in the Olympics. And gosh, even watching your career at USC, there's something special about your play, even with Abril, and I miss seeing her play. But gosh, the talent at USC is incredible. And across collegiate beach volleyball in the United States is phenomenal. I mean, it's just being able to see
It's growing so much. It's becoming so much stronger with every year.
And, you're right there. People have got you on the target lists, these two-time All-American from Latvia and now Olympian. So, hey, everyone, we've got Tina Graudina on the Viral Volley Podcast. I appreciate you coming online again from Edinburgh, Scotland, not Jurmala, Latvia. But looking forward to seeing you back in the States and staying hopeful that the season will be a go come 2021.
Yeah, see you soon, everyone.